All right, Chapter 7, Ground Product Fueling Facility. Unified Facility Criteria, UFC 3046001, 16th August 2010. Design, Petroleum Fuel Facilities, Department of Defense, U.S. United States of America. Approval of public release and distribution unlimited. All right, what page were we on? 142, I think. All right, we haven't made it to 142 yet. Chapter 7, Ground Products and Fueling Facilities. 7.1, Introduction. The chapter provides the guidance for the design of ground products, gasoline, diesel fueling facility, cover the government vehicle, the motor fueling station, the tactical refueler, truck loading and facilities, provide vehicle filling stations such as exchange services stations are not included. The types of facilities, the following three types of filling stations may be required. See facility plate 011, 012, 013. The filling station dispensing mode of fuel for gasoline disposal into the government commercial type of the sedan, vans, and small trucks. See the facility plate 011. The filling station dispensing mode of fuel, the gasoline, the diesel into the tactical vehicles. The facilitate plate 011. Truck loading facilities loading gasoline, diesel into the tactical refueler vehicles. See the plate 012 and 013. 7.2 General Requirements. Chapter 2 General Design Information contains important information of the fueling facility. Do not start a design of any of the fueling system without first becoming completely familiar with Chapter 2 of the UFC. The design requirements 3.1 Fueling segregation. Provide segregation for receiving the storage distribution system for each of the grade of the type of the fuel, except otherwise approved with the service headquarters. Prevent misfueling, transfer of the type of the other than the type intended to be using different size piping, the valves, adapters, and nozzles, etc. In the Kanos, use the color coding in accordance with the API RPI 1637. The non-Kanos facilities use the host nation standard differential differential than API RPI 1637 and API RP 1637, and there's no other standard in effect. The Air Force projects to refer to as the AFTO 3701. 732 facility size. Each of the filling stations provide one of the commercial type of dispensing units display the volume of one of each of the 100 vehicles assigned to activity. Total amount of the storage capacity in each station should be approximately twice the capacity of all the vehicle and the tanks of the grade, but the type of the fuel assigned with the activity. The minimum storage capacity of any grade of the type of the fuel is 5,000 gallons, unless approved by the service headquarters for the tactical refueler truck and loading facilities. Chapter 3 of this UFC. Section 3.3, the facility configuration, general control safety, separate for the three types of filling station for the relatively small installation of one of their unlimited amount of the activity expected, but at that time, the more not practical, provided some totally separate facilities. In those cases, separate functions as much as possible minimize mixing traffic in the commercial types of vehicles with tactical vehicles. More importantly, for mixing tactical refuelers, which are being loaded with the relatively large quantities of the fuel from other vehicles, which are being fueled for their own engine mode of fuel. 534 shelters staff facilities provide shelter for personnel records and tools. 735 correcting fuel airing filling station, correcting the fuel area constructed with concrete by surrounding the fuel station islands with a concrete slab grade at the minimum of 1% away from the islands. Concrete 736 of concrete fueling area, the tactical refueler truck loading of facilities provide concrete spill containment areas with concrete remote spill containment. These systems are described from the truck loading facilities in Chapter 3 of this UFC. 737 canopy, 7371 canopy, the protective fixes of assets provided with the canopy protection with the elements fixed fast assessment equipment otherwise under the directive of the service headquarters. Fixed assessment and facility assessment equipment included but not limited to pump pads, filter, authorization pads, meter pads, isolation valve pad, offloading and loading equipment pads, controlling panels, electrical panels, motor control centers, ensuring the structural design in accordance with the UFC 1-2001, UFC 3-301-01. 7372 canopies reduce stormwater and tactical refueler truck loading facilities do not provide canopies to include raining to reaching the contaminated area unless it's required by federal, state, and local regulations economically justified with reducing size of the concrete remote spill contamination spill treatment system, or if directed by the service headquarters, ensure the underside of the canopy is high enough to provide operator headroom when walking to the top of the truck. Ensure the structural design in accordance with the UFC 1-200-01, UFC 3-301-01. Alright, 7373. Canopies reducing the stormwater to the filling stations do not provide the canopy to preclude the rain from reaching the concrete fueling area unless required by the federal, state, and local regulations. The concrete moat spill contamination treatment system is required by the federal, state, and local regulations, and it is economically justified reducing the size of the remote spill contamination spill treatment system, or if directed by the service headquarters, ensure structural design is in accordance with the UFC 1200-01, UFC 330-101. 738, the regulations design must comply with the NFPA 30 and NFPA 38 and API RP 1615. 739, bottom loading. The bottom loading of the refuelers is required, but if the refuelers are equipped for it. However, the Army refuelers, which are not equipped for the bottom loading, which will be in the inventory for several years, therefore consult with the service headquarters before providing with the top loading of the tactical refuelers to fill stands. 74, storage tanks, Chapter 8. Atmospheric storage tanks contains information from the above ground and underground storage tanks for the ground product refueling facility. Underground horizontal tanks are preferred for following federal, state, and local regulations when using determining the AST and UST. For the pipeline system, 751, piping system of the tactical refueler facilities. For the system of the tactical refueler system, fill stand C requirements for the tanker truck loading facilities in Chapter 3 of this UFC. 752, above ground piping system filling station. Follow the state local regulations when exceed these requirements. When they do not exceed them and provided as described in Chapter 9 of the UFC with the following exemptions. Piping of 4 inches and larger should be butt welded and socketed welded using a flange connection for the joint pipe and to be equipped. The pipe smaller than 4 inches may be butt welded or socket welded using flange connection. Socket welded connections in with the union joint for the joining of the pipe. The equipment threaded end of the connections may be used only when the butt weld or socket weld connections cannot be physically provided. Branch outlet fittings do not have to be designed by the radiographed. 76 equipment descriptions. 761 filling station. 761 fuel dispensers. Usually commercial available dispensers of the self-contracted contain electrical motor pumping unit. The remote pumping type of the pump motor is located within the storage tank. If any in-tank type of the pump is used, then ensure that there is equipped with the reducing start of the volume and the leak check. Provide a meter for each of the dispensers. The dispenser flow rates are typically a maximum of 100 gallons per minute. Flow state local regulations, actual maximum. The designer shall check with the state and local regulations for limitations. The dispenser flow rate system will include the management control system, the printers, computers, microprocessors, equipment, fuel dispensers with an inline filterization system capable of sediment removal of 10 milligrams or less, adding emergency breakaway the hose connection ether fuel. Does this answer accordance with the NFPA 30A with the liquid, where liquid is supplied with the dispenser under the pressure provided with an emergency shutoff valve, the incorporating fusible link in the supply line and a base of each of the dispenser is required with the NFPA 30A equipment dispensing island with the impervious spill containment pans under the dispenser. 7612 cards and key locks. Consider the possible economics and operational advantage of using electronic in the key system with which permanent 24-hour unmanned operation of the facility. This type of the system is compromised with the card and key reader, which is located near the surface of the pump. The reader is activated with the card and the key accumulates issues and customer data, which is downloaded with the central computer on the periodic basis. Activities capitalized in fuel with the petroleum product owned by the DLA DESC are eligible for projects that are installed the automatic hard key lock system. Activities of capsized fuel report inventory that is products of the DEC through the system, which is called the BSME, automated with the system control. Capitalized inventories must be able to interface with the BSME. These types of automated systems are managed under the AFSS program by the DESC. It shall be noted that the AFSS equipment is used to control the issue of the product when it is not found in the automatic tank engaging system. Further, the information of the AFS system funding of the programs may be obtained with the contact of the DES Energy. Alright, 762 tactical refueling, refueler truck loading facilities. Equipment similar to the truck loading facilities covered in Chapter 3 of the UFC is kept provided with the ground reel in lieu of the high level shut-off ground detection system, verifying the type of the nozzle required by the user. 763, the valves. For system serving tactical refueler and fill standing requirements of the tanker truck loading facilities of the Chapter 3 of the UFC. Below the requirements apply to the filling stations only. 7631 material for construction requires the valve to carbon steel bodies and bonnets. Do not allow the valves with aluminum, cast iron, bronze, and materials use API fire safety valves. 7632 isolation valve types balls. These only operated with quick opening frequency open isolation ball type lockable valves designed so that they are synthetic as seating of the materials is burned out on the fire metal to metal seating remaining to affect the closure of the comply with the API standard 607. Teflon Viton synthetic seals of the seating material valves should comply with the API standard 608. Double bleeding black isolation valves do not provide unless directed by service headquarters. Lubricated plug valves are not allowed. Gate gate valves are not allowed. Butterfly valves are not allowed. 7633 isolation valve operators. Manually operated valves are not specified with the remote automatic emergency operation. Use geared operators for the ball valves are larger than 6 inches, provided with the locking on the tab of the isolation valve to allow the padlock to be used and lock out of the valves during the maintenance, provided with the chain operators on the valves, which are located with the 72 inches higher above ground. Above grade. 7634 isolation valve location provided isolation valves and piping the system to control the flowing and to permit the isolation equipment with the maintenance repair with is necessary to conduct the valid hydrostatic test. A minimum requirement provides isolation valves as following requirements where the piping goes underground, becomes to go above ground, and requires periodic pressure testing at all subsurfaces above ground piping connections to storage tanks on the suction side and the discharge side reach of the pumping unit except for the suction side with the vertical central fecal pumps installed with the underground tanks. On the inlet and outlet connection of each of the line strainer meter diaphragm control valve, the other equipment that requires periodic servicing on one inlet valve and one outlet valve may be used as an isolate more than one piece of the adjacent equipment which are connected within series. 764 diaphragm control valve. These valves are not required in the fill station. 765 other valves. 7651 check valves. Use the check valves to prevent backflow through the pumps and branch lines, meters, and other locations when the run back of the reverse flow must be avoided. Check valves may be swing disc, global, dual plate, hinge disc, spring-loaded ball diaphragm actuated type. These check valves, the soft-seated non-slamming type with the renewable seats or in disc, ensure the check valves are conform with the API spec 6D. Alright, 67652 thermal relief. Provided thermal relief valves are on isolation check valve to relieve the excessive pressure caused by the thermal expansion of liquid trapped between the shutoff points to sea facilities plates 023, 024, 025, and 026. 77 vapor recovery. Provided with the vapor recovery in accordance with the guide specification unless there are more than stringent federal, state, and local condition codes or regulations. Some requirements are 40 CFR Part 60 Subpart 20. If gasoline is being handled, provided with as a minimum stage 1 vapor recovery and piping for stage 2. If stage 2 is not required by the local and state regulation at the time of the installation cap of the vapor return pipe at the dispenser. Chapter 8 Atmospheric Storage Tanks.